guys, welcome back to Practically Creative with Melissa. This week we are doing block 5. We are up to Henrietta, and I'll put a picture of her at the beginning so you can see her. Henrietta is a pretty little hen that's sitting on her nest, and she's sitting on eggs. So we're going to do it the same way we've been doing it. I'm going to use the heat and bond to be able to trace our pieces out on. And I'm going to bring you down here so you can see my work table. We're going to move. Okay. And I've already got all my templates pulled out for Henrietta. And I have a fairly large piece of heat and bond here. And I'm going to use my same black pen that I've been using to go ahead and draw her on here. But before I draw her, I need to flip it over so it's in reverse so that when I bring my chick up onto the fabric, she'll be going the right direction. And I'm going to get fairly close to the edge of the heat and bond. And then I'm just tracing around. I want to make sure I get down in there to those little curves so that I get it drawn out correctly for us. And trace it all the way around. Okay, and I'm not going to make you watch all of this, but I do want to show a couple of tips that will allow you to be more frugal with your heat and bond. Practical, frugal, all these words apply to me. So I want to share how I'm going to do this. On the chicken itself, you don't have to have the entire piece of fabric covered with heat and bond. So I'm going to use the center of this chicken to trace out a couple of my smaller pieces. Mostly if it fits down there around the edges, it'll be glued down and then you're going to applique it anyway. So it's not going to cause issues. So I'm going to trace my 2 wings out of here. And I do have another big piece of this that I need to do. So M20. And I actually need one of those to be right side up. Let's do this one right side up. Sorry, that was my mistake. I'm just going to make a darker line there so I know which one I want to trace right side up. The wings go 2 different directions on Henrietta. And you really should spend a couple of minutes looking at your picture so that you can decide whether you want to use, I'm just putting a mark through there so I know to follow this one instead of that one. So I've got my wings traced, and then I could actually put my wattle in here and my comb. Well, I'm not sure about my comb. We'll look at that in a second. But that's M3 and it is reversed already, which it needs to be. And then let's look here. I've got to do 4 of these eggs. Yeah, I can probably get one out of there. So we'll do that. Now, because these are symmetrical pieces, Lori has put a marking on there so that you can get them even. I'm good either way. And I didn't turn that one over, but it wouldn't have made a huge difference if I did. And then there's 2, because it's a symmetrical piece. And I need 3. And 1, 2, 3. This is 4 for the eggs. Now, these eggs are going to get cut out of white scraps. Notice I'm just going ahead and writing the number on there. And I have a wattle that I need to put on. But let's see. Yeah, I'm only tracing half of it on here. I'm using up all the little pieces of this one that I cut, and I'll just put them together on the back. It's not going to affect anything. And let's see, can I get this one on here? No, I don't think even I'm that good. I could do it this way because the top of this is going to go underneath Henrietta's head. So I'm going to trace it, and I'm not going to worry about this particular little piece down there. Since it's going under Henrietta's head, it will be held down anyway. So I don't have to have 2 layers of heat and bond. And then we're going to mark that that is M10. And I'm not going to make you watch me cut all this out. I'll be back in just a minute once I have all the pieces cut out, and I'm getting ready to apply them to the fabric so you can see how I'm going to do that. So give me just a moment. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've put all of my heat and bond on the back of all of my fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out, but I do want to note that on one of these, I didn't have enough heat and bond to do the rest of the outline. So I'm going to lay that piece back on here, and I am going to use my pencil because it will leave a lighter mark and won't show through the fabric. And I'm just going to use my pencil to trace the rest of that template on there so that I can cut that out and not have to miss the rest of that. So I'm going to cut this out. And this is my practical way of saving on fabric and on heat and bond. I've used a scrap of fabric from another project that I'm going to make my eggs from. And I have, this is the other item I wanted to show you. I did half of my egg with the heat and bond that was along that edge, or not my egg, it's the nest. And I put scraps of heat and bond on the other side. But when I cut this, I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to trim right around this edge. And then I've still got my paper attached to everything, but you can see that I have here and a couple other places, I have little bits of the heat and bond. Those are the scraps that I had left over from the big piece I cut. So when I get ready to put this on as my nest, I'll peel the paper off of all of it and fasten it down. But only half of this nest shows underneath the chicken, underneath Henrietta. So I don't think that I'm going to miss much there. And then I don't want to put scraps into my scrap bins that has heat and bond attached. So I'm making sure I cut off the little pieces that have heat and bond on it, and that'll go into a different place. I have a box that I actually keep fabric with heat and bond attached to it. And then here is our chicken. You can see I used almost all of her center for other things, but I've still got the heat and bond on the back here. I'm going to cut her out all around. It won't matter that this is missing. It'll hold down because we're going to applique the piece down. And then here are my 2 wings. They're going 2 different directions. And when I get ready to turn the wings up, then I will make sure that I use my template on the back of the one that's reversed. So I make sure I cut that out the right direction. All right, so let's get this cut out. I'll get my muslin over here and we'll start arranging everything. Give me just a couple of minutes. It'll only be a second or 2 for you guys. Okay, so now I've got everything cut out and traced, etc. So the next thing that I'm going to do, and I'm including this just because I think it might be important for somebody besides me to know, especially after I had to go hunting for one of my pieces. So what I've got here is I've got all my little pieces that I just cut out. And this is where I'm storing my chicken salad templates. I have baseball card holders for the bigger stuff. And then I have I'm missing a piece. And the reason I put it away as I go is so that I don't end up losing a piece permanently. I'm going to put each item away since I'm done with them now. I'm going to put this is M10. And I just literally baseball card holders, and I used a marker to put the template number on the outside of it. And I have 3 more that need to go in here. M20 is back here in a big one. And I kept them in numerical order because that's how I roll. Gotta be organized. This one's too big for the baseball card holder, so I gave it a big one. I did consider consolidating some of them, but what I really want out of this whole deal is that when I'm looking through here, I want to know that I'm missing something because there's an empty thing. So M35 goes in here. And let's put M35 in there, not M32. And I can see them through there and know if something's missing. And M32 goes in here. I'm only showing you this so you can see how I organize and so that it might help somebody else, because when you lose a piece, it's a real pain. All right, so now that we've got that all done, I have cut out all of our pieces. All the paper is still on the back. And I'm going to move the iron and the mat over here for the iron. You can see I've got a chicken underneath that mat. I pre-cut all of my 14-inch pieces before I started the quilt. And these get squared down to 12.5. I pre-cut them at 14. 1, because that's what Lori recommends in the book. And 2, because that gives me a little wiggle room just in case. Okay. And there we go. And I'm doing the same thing I've done on every other block. I folded it in half twice. I'm pressing creases into this so that I can set everything where I want it. And I am going to peel as I set it. I am going to peel as I go, as I put the pieces down, but I want this mostly cool so that it doesn't stick until I'm ready for it to stick. Now, if you're looking at your Henrietta piece, I hope you are, you'll see that her head should be to the left. And I've got the picture sitting in front of me where you guys can't see it. All those little scraps of heat and bond that I put on there, I am pulling on paper off the back. And you don't have to use scraps. You can use a whole solid piece if that's what you want to do. I used scraps because I wanted to use them up. And the way Henrietta sits is this is her nest here. And this is Henrietta. And then I want to give myself room to maneuver down there. Trying to get it so you guys can see all of her. And then Henrietta has 2 wings. And all these chickens have personality. So when you put yours together, think about, how you want yours to look. Do you want them to be cocky and fun and, looking at everybody? Do you want them to be, what do you want your birds to be? And a lot of that personality is added because you put on, wattles and combs and wings and all that. But a lot of it also comes from the fact that you're putting your birds together the way you want them. Get my picture back where I can look at it. And then here is her. See, there's my little piece that I took it off. And it's going to sit underneath her head. Kind of like I almost envision her having like curlers in her hair, if that makes any sense. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I don't know if any of you are old enough. I can remember my mom putting curlers in her hair, before she went out. Like Saturday morning, she would get up and wash her hair and put rollers in. And the picture of Henrietta has her with a little beak right there. So I want to give her a little triangle of a beak. And what I did was I put a little scrap of the heat and bond on the back of her. And I'm using my embroidery scissors just to turn that into a beak shape. And then I'm going to put it on here where I want it. And then I'll put her eyes right there. Now, the last thing we've got to put on here is our eggs. And this is supposed to be broody Henrietta, sitting on her little eggs, trying to hatch everybody. And I did the eggs out of some fabric that has swirls in it. So I'm kind of putting it down so that the swirls show. And I've been doing all of my blocks with blue embroidery thread, but I may do a variation and add some pink embroidery thread on these. And chicken eggs come in all kinds of colors. We get them from light tan to dark brown, blue, green. I've had some kind of yellowy looking ones before. And then I'm just going to space them out a bit. They don't have to be symmetrical or perfect or any of that. But I kind of like that. What do you guys think? All right, let me double check my picture before I iron anything down. They have her wings a little higher. And this one's a little lower. But kind of at the same level. I'm good with that. All right. And as always, we're going to take our iron and we're going to set it down. We're not going to move it. We're just going to set it down and press, because we don't want any of the items that we have so carefully placed to move anywhere. And I even like the fact that these little eggs, I'll show you in just a second, the white kind of lets some of the gray come through. You may not be able to see that. See that? Blah, blah, blah. But it kind of adds to the swirly effect of my eggs. So let's see if I can get this over here. This is Henrietta with her little eggs, and you can see through the eggs down there where the pink swirls are. But I like the effect because it kind of adds to the pink swirls, I think. And when I get it all appliqued down, it's gonna be adorable. Now, most of this I've been doing blanket stitch on the applique, but I may do some satin stitching around those eggs. Had a couple of people ask about how do you do satin stitch. It's not my favorite because it requires that you stabilize your fabric, and it takes a lot longer to do than the blanket stitch does, but it does look good in some places. And I think it'll look really good around those eggs down there. So when I get ready to applique this one, I may do some satin stitching around that. And then of course, there's our nest and all of our pretties. So I think everybody's put together. That is block, what are we on, 6 for Henrietta? That's block 6. I appreciate you guys all paying attention and following along with this so long. If you like this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. This is Melissa with Practically Creative. I don't know why I always mess that up. And I hope to see you guys all again soon for the chicken salad so long and for other things. Have a great day.